Hello everyone, I'm Ron Grant coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. You're watching 284 Media. Thank you so much for your time. My guest today, the Honorable Akierra M. Missick, is a Turks and Caicos Islands lawyer and a politician. She has served as Deputy Premier and Minister of Education from 2012 to 2016 and Leader of Government Business and Minister of Infrastructure from 2021 to 2022. A member of the Progressive National Party, Honorable Missick has served as a member of the House of Assembly for Leeward and Long Bay, E District 5, since 2012. Of course, she is still serving the people of E District 5, and she is presently in the Virgin Islands as part of a delegation post-election seminar. She is the only OT regional member who makes up that delegation. We're honored to have her not only in the British Virgin Islands, but of course in our 284 Media studios for a quick conversation. We'll be right back after a commercial break.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for sticking with us. I'm Ron Grant, and you're watching 284 Media. As promised, we are joined by the lovely, the Honorable Akierra M. Missick, who is in the Virgin Islands. Honorable Missick, thank you for your time, and welcome to the BVI.
Thank you so much for having me, Ron, and to your viewers, and I'm amazed to be back in the BVI.
Welcome back. The last time you were here was some...
2012.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
And I was here working with your National Trust and our National Trust at the Botanical Gardens, and I really enjoyed that visit, and we even got to go to Virgin Gorda and see the caves.
Beautiful. And now you are on a different mission, of course, a post-election seminar. You are the only OT and regional member who make up that delegation. Tell us about the delegation and the purpose of the visit.
So the delegation is made up of a senior member of the British Parliament, Lillian Greenwood. She's a member of Parliament for the constituency that I went to university in, the University of Nottingham. And then we have our colleagues from Crown Dependency, the Speaker of the Isle of Man, as well as his clerk to the Public Accounts Committee. And then there's myself for the Overseas Territories. And last but not least, we're supported by the UK CPA team, their admin team that are here with us for our mission. Our mission is very simple. We are here to work with our BV Islander MPs in strengthening any areas of focus that they have. We're here to learn from them. We're here to share best practices if needs be. And last but not least, we're here to encourage them that there is a wider network that they can lean in and get support from, whether it's CPA UK, CPA Turks and Caicos Islands, or CPA Isle of Man. We're a bigger network, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to share with them.
Exceptional. Now, you got into public office at just age 29.
I know.
A little bit daunting to think about it. Quite a young age to start public life. This is now your third term, am I correct?
Yes, this is my third term.
Okay. Based on the post-election seminar and the level of training and representation that makes up this delegation, when you look back at your time as a initial elected representative at age 29, is there anything that you're telling our representatives now that you wish someone told you?
Yes, I will tell them stay the course.
Okay.
I think it's Galatians chapter 9, verse 6. Do not get weary in doing good. And as public officers, we get weary and we wonder, why is this the decisions we've made for our lives? And should we continue to serve at this level? And my answer to them is, if you heeded the call for service at this level, do not get weary. The second thing is, be open and honest with our constituents. The bureaucracy in government is one that makes a fast boat go extremely slow.
Correct.
And I think it's by having that open dialogue with your constituents and your supporters that we are getting there, but it does take time. And this is where we are in the steps. I think that bodes well for you as a honest and open MP, as well as someone who people will look to and say, okay, at least they're telling us what's happening. And last but not least, your opposition, whether you're government or opposition, so the people who sit opposite you on the aisles are not the enemy.
Okay.
They're not the enemy at all. The enemy is the slow progress. And so if you could come together and work together to find a way to open the door so that progression of the island and the people in your country can happen, then you've done well. So don't look at them as the enemy. Politically, yes, you're better than them in your view, but otherwise, they're there to help you.
Correct.
Because you're helping your country at the end of the day.
Amazing. Now, tell us about the scope of the visit as it pertains to the delegation. I know you have had a courtesy visit to His Excellency Governor John Ranking.
Yes.
Tell us about the rest of the visit, and in addition to that, tell us about the courtesy call to his office.
Well, the courtesy call to the governor's office went very well. We had an opportunity to introduce ourselves and basically outline the program that we're seeking to achieve. As albeit we're here for the legislature, the House of Assembly, in order to be in cabinet, you have to be a member of the House of Assembly. And so given that the governor in this territory, similar to Turks and Caicos, is the chair of cabinet, we thought it was beneficial to highlight the work we're seeking to do and the aims and goals and objectives that have been requested by Madam Speaker in our visit. And so the visit with the governor was just very straightforward. We're here for peer-to-peer learning. These are the areas of focus we'll have, which is scrutiny, committee system, public accounts, the effective management and use of resources. We promise we're going to lobby for more resources for their House of Assembly so that they can be as independent from the executive as possible. And so he's excited about, and I even think he's hosting a reception for us this evening, which would have been the courtesy to do, as we've done that in Turks and Caicos as well.
Wonderful. So what is the rest of the scope? It involves, of course, peer-to-peer sessions, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Put that into perspective for us.
So we will be having an active committee session. And I know I'm using a lot of parliamentary terms. So a committee session would be, for instance, your Public Accounts Committee
which
here.
Which is closed to the public.
Which is the... Oh, it's closed.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
So a Public Accounts Committee, when we
This
have...
conversation's taking a
yeah,
little
when we
different
have committee sessions, when our honorable members go into committee stage, that is closed to the public. Of course, the House of Assembly sittings are public, but committee stage is one that is private. We've had persons who are lobbying for that to be public, but as it stands, it is private.
Oh, it's interesting. That might be one of the few things that this OT does differently than the others. Because all of our committee sessions are public, unless it's something of national security.
Understood.
And so that way you would just turn the radio recording and the audio off, but persons can still come and sit in our chamber because it's a people's house at the end of the day. So, well, learn something new. I'll be asking members about that this evening.
Get their thoughts on that.
Yeah, over the course of the week. But then we're also looking at effective questioning, how best to get information to communicate to the public that they may have asked us to tackle on their behalf as their members of parliament. So we're looking at the question and answering portion of the agenda, the makeup of the House, laying reports, how to produce reports, how to investigate reports and ask those difficult questions, as well as just pouring back into the MPs who may not know that they have the ultimate power to hold the government to account. Even if you're on the government party politically side, you still have that responsibility as a backbencher. And I know in this context, because there's a form of coalition that has formed since the May election, members may not feel that they're empowered to do that. But at the end of the day, the people's voice, which is what we hold as members of parliament, must be heard on matters, whether they're good or bad. And so we want to encourage them to utilize the powers that they do have in order to hold their government to account and be good members of parliament as well.
I am happy to mention the level of accountability and transparency as it pertains to holding even your government accountable because, in truth be told, we do have some members who, at the end of the day, feel that they are objective to not saying anything because they are on the sitting government. What I do want to ask you is when we look at our 13 members of the House of Assembly who were recently elected, some are not new to the system, some have returned, some have taken a term off, but you also have some new members. When you look at the scope of training, does it entail only new members or is this seminar open to all 13 members?
All members are invited, all members are encouraged to attend. The invitation is for all members. And the speaker decided to do it that way because we can get entrenched in behavior that may not be conducive to getting to the end goal as well. I've been serving for 3 terms and I'm constantly taking part in these provisions of services through post-election seminars because I learn as much as I'm able to teach in the role. And there is always a scope to be a better MP every day than you were the day before. And so I'm hoping that all members do attend. I think by the way that we are very respectful to each other's members of parliament internationally.
And invitations, yes.
Yeah, I do believe they'll all attend, but the program is structured so that everyone can have some form of benefit from it.
And someone has something to take away, even if they are a returning minister.
Yes, of course we do. Because not only are we returning and may have taken a time off, there are new issues that are coming up. There are new concerns that may be articulated or need to be ventilated, but also the style of communication amongst each other and your constituents is changing daily. I mean, everything is instant now.
And very true. Now, I want to talk about young leadership because, again, of your introduction to public office and, of course, have matured over the years, being in your third term. What would you say is the level of importance as it pertains to young leadership? Because we do have some young leaders within our own 13-member House of Assembly members. When you look at young leadership, how important would you say that is to the makeup of the fabric of our territory?
I think it's very important because it encourages the next generation to get involved and to use their voice and to actively seek the progression that our countries need. We are young countries at the end of the day when we're compared to everyone else, especially if we just look in the region alone. You have Jamaica just reaching 61 years old, Bahamas 50 years old, yet we're still territories. And so it opens the door for further dialogue, for further encouragement, but also it allows us to speak the language of our voters. So you have the more mature politicians that can speak to our grandparents and our great-grandparents. And then you have me in the middle. I'm the geriatric millennial. So we can have the reference point. And then you have my nephew's generation who are coming forward, just turning 18, trying to find their way. And so that's why I always encourage a House of Assembly and political parties to ensure they're at least representing each generation and not just the traditional nature of their party, because without the evolution, the parties will die, the systems will die, a new crop will come in. And so for the betterment of the people of our territories, we need to ensure that we allow the open door, progress and communication and opportunities for persons who don't look and sound like us every day to have an opportunity to be heard.
Incredible. Now, I have to speak to or go back to some challenges of governing because sometimes as regional countries, we tend to think that the issues that we're facing are isolated, and they're not. They're quite similar. You mentioned about having the representatives be very honest and vocal with the constituents and voters about their challenges. Let's talk about challenges in governing because while you are an elected official, there are blue tape, red tape, yellow tape. There's a lot of tape, that needs to be done. Tell us about that and how you've been able to navigate those challenges as a representative.
Well, red tape is real. Government bureaucracy is real. And it's couched in the position that it's for openness, transparency, and accountability. And so whilst those are good things and they need to be done because this is taxpayers' money. So we're contributing to the governing of our territories by paying our taxes however they're collected. But we want a return. We want to see a return on our investment. We want to know that we have proper sidewalks in communities. We want to know that we have proper infrastructure for our schools. And the challenge in government that governments have, Turks and Caicos, BVI, Cayman Islands, Bermuda, all of us as overseas territory governments, is that we have the same challenges as bigger countries that have bigger pots of money to manage and mitigate. And what I have experienced, and this is me, not CPA, this is purely Akierra M, Missick, is that we have a capacity challenge in our public sector across our region. But if we look at the overseas territories, we have it even more. If you look at how our territories are designed, we're multi-islands. That's the first part. So we have to duplicate resources. So what you do in Grand Cayman, you have to do in Cayman Brac. What we do in Providenciales, we have to do in Grand Turk. What you do here in Tortola, you may have to do in Virgin Gorda. And so our limited pot of money is continuously stretched because of the duplication of resources. And I believe that every single one of us that is elected has a vision and goal for our community. It is the inability to see how we're going to get to the end because of the lack of resources, and not human resources only. Financial resources and capacity resources have been a challenge. So that's a big backstory to say every single day I'm still trying to chip away at the bureaucracy machine in order to enhance the lives in my community and the people. When I was the Minister of Education, I was able to ensure that the government's focus at that time for those 4 years was educational infrastructure. And so that's how I was able to build schools and communities, upgrade the infrastructure we had, because we had a singular focus.
Okay.
I know that is a difficult task to do across the region because there's competing focus between climate change, energy resilience, e-governance, technology development, AI technology, advancing our people through education. But we need to pick one.
Gotcha.
And I believe that if we pick one and do one well, then next year we pick the next one. And the easiest way to eat this elephant is one bite at a time. And I think as small island government, we tend to take too many bites at the same time, and we ended up getting choked and backlogged.
And not accomplishing much.
No, and then our elected flip and they vote for the next guy because the next guy says, well, I could do it because they couldn't, and the same system repeats itself. So the British Overseas Territories need a program in place where we can pull on capacity in our public service shared. So 1 week I could be in BVI, the next week I could go to Montserrat, but we have that pool of talent that we could pull from, because I believe as UKOTs we could build together, and that way when the discussion of independence does come for our various countries, we are in a better position to have it from a built country perspective versus a developing country perspective.
Understood.
Long answer, but I hope it made sense in the
No,
end.
well said. And at the end of the day, one of the things that, again, we need to do more of is our regional connections and conversations, because the issues are not isolated, but we can zone in and hone in on.
But we keep saying we're going to do that, and
we
then
don't.
You know, it's been a while. Like, I know we're a high energy media company, and this is supposed to be a high energy interview. And I tell people don't get weary.
Be honest.
But I'm getting weary. I'm getting weary of the talk. I'm getting weary of saying, yeah, we're going to do it, we're going to do it.
And we're not doing it.
We're not doing it.
Okay.
We know the problems. We need better health care. And this is not BVI, Turks and Caicos only. Regionally, we need better access. Let me say it like that, because we have some of the best health care in the world in this region. But we need better access. Are we going to have a network between BVI, TCI, Montserrat that we're going to use this country as our premier healthcare provider? And so we're channeling our people there. We need better access to educational opportunities. We have the independent Caribbean countries that have the universities and they have the schools. Are we opening the door to make sure that our students get an opportunity to study there in the region? Because we know what it's like when we lose our people to the United Kingdom and the United States and Canada. It's hard to get us to come back. I'm UK educated. And the moment I finished my backpacking experience, I was on an airplane home.
Gotcha.
Because my promise was I was not going to build another man's country with my talents. I was going to build my own. So the access to education and the pull to bring us back to our countries to continue building them. And last but not least, how are we equipping ourselves with the talent and the tools we need in order to progress our countries? It can't be about friends anymore. It can't be about cousins. It has to be, is Ron the best candidate for this? Will Ron hold me accountable? Yes. Will Ron make sure it's done the way it needs to be done? Yes. Will Ron do X, Y, Z? Will he say, don't move that cup and I move it and there's a penalty? Yes, but that is for the progression of the global community and not the individual. And I think that is where we're struggling. We're still worried about the individual. And until we think about the community, we are going to continue to limp along as a region. And so that's my
ladies and gentlemen,
there.
And particularly to my permanent secretaries, my senior civil servants, and my 13 members of the House of Assembly. I hope that you're not only taking note as you watch this interview, but most importantly, taking as much as you can with the post-election seminar by one of our region's best and brightest, the Honorable Akierra M. Missick. I have to ask you, because you are now in your third term of serving the Leeward and Long Bay district, and you honestly said sometimes you get weary in well-doing. What would you like to see that perhaps you haven't been able to necessarily accomplish for the people of District 5?
What I would like to see is a greater opportunity for our small and medium enterprises to receive capital funding from their government and through our Invest Turks and Caicos program. I genuinely have a constituency of hard workers, and they want to be able to now own their own enterprise in order to help contribute to the economy. They no longer want to have to go to someone else's job. And so I want us to be in a better position of empowering them. Right now, we do have a program in place, and it was actually created during my first term. And we've seen it increase year on. So we started with $10,000 grants. Now we're up to $30,000. The real cost of living in our territories, because here's the same as over there, is in order to genuinely jumpstart a business, you're looking at about 100,000 US. And so this is what I'm lobbying for. The road network, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. Sidewalks, we don't walk anyway, but we'll be happy to have them. Yes, we need some upgrades to our park. But what I want to help my community do is build lasting wealth so that they can educate their children at the level that they want to and not have to rely on government support in that regard, so that they can maybe build that second property, have that Airbnb, but be owners of part of our economy and not just recipients of the tourism industry. So it's a bold goal, but this is where my area of focus will be.
Ambitious but attainable.
Yeah, it is attainable.
Wonderful. Honorable Missick, I want to thank you so much for stopping by our studios while on your visit. We wish you the very best in executing your duties, of course, to the people of District 5 over in Leeward and Long Bay in the Turks and Caicos. And most importantly, as you continue to serve, we wish you the very best.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all your viewers. And again, I love being here in BVI, so thank you so much.
A pleasure to have you. Viewers, that is all the time we have. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. You've been watching 284 Media. Ron Grant, goodbye.